I know what you're thinking. I know you're thinking, Lucy, could you have not made this video 3 weeks ago when I was actually doing my Christmas shopping and legitimately needed some good gift ideas? And to that I would say, first of all, you don't know me at all. When am I ever on time or genuinely useful for anything? And second of all, come on now, let's not pretend that this is genuinely a gift guide for anyone other than ourselves. We're all friends here, so I don't think I need to keep up the pretense that this is anything other than a nice little list of cute things that I would love to get and that I think you would probably love to get too. Because around here, we are all basically the exact same human being with absolutely no unique experiences or thoughts whatsoever. And that's why it's a comforting place to be. So rather than being a gift guide that's far too late in the year and it's like I hadn't thought about this far enough in advance, no, not at all. This is actually just the list of things to reward yourself with once you finish buying all the less good presents for everyone else. Is that okay? Are we good here? Yeah, great, we're all in agreement. So now that I've fully broken the fourth wall, we can return to pretending that this is actually a gift guide. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. How's it going? I hope you're all doing really well. I hope your festive season is off to a good start, off with a bang, but maybe not too much of a bang. I hope your festive season is off with a little poof, a little burst of confetti. And now that the confetti's out the way, you can return to being under the blanket to rot away the rest of December. Happy Christmas! I am super excited about this video because I have gathered what can only be described as the cutest gift ideas that the internet possibly has to offer. And I've basically curated a perfect little list of bits and bobs for the book lover in your life. And if that's you, I mean, that's none of my business. That person whose main personality trait has always and forever been that they are the book kid. Welcome. And funnily enough, I feel like I will just disclaimer this by saying this list does not really feature any actual books, which might seem a bit of a strange choice, but I genuinely think like choosing books for someone who is a very keen reader is an extremely difficult task and quite a high risk job. If they've read everything under the sun, if they're really on top of like the hot book of the moment, they're probably way ahead of you. So instead, these are the things that will boost the immaculate vibes of their reading setup and their reading experience and just kind of generally add a little bit of extra magic to their bookish aesthetic in nice, pleasing ways. I swear every single video I ever film in my life, I forget to say things like, don't forget to subscribe if you've just stumbled across me, and chuck a thumbs up on this video if you enjoy it, and let me know in the comments down below which one of these you like the best. See, I'm not very good at this. Okay, I want to start with this one. This is a book-related perfume because the chances are that that book-loving person in your life is probably enough of a weirdo that they enjoy having a little sniff of the pages. They wish they could bottle the smell of every bookshop they ever walk into, and guess what? It actually exists, kind of. The one that I would recommend, which I have myself, is called Whispers in the Library, and that is one of the replica fragrances by Maison Margiela. I've just said that very confidently, like I know for a fact that's how you pronounce it. I'm sure it's not. And my very expert description of this fragrance would be exactly, it's the smell of how you would describe the reading experience of The Secret History. Woody, there's a little bit of vanilla in there. Sometimes when I spray it, I get quite like almost like a licoricey smell to it. And I mean, is there anything more pleasing in the world than someone asking what your perfume is and you saying, oh yes, it's Whispers in the Library. Did you know that I read books? I've also tried another one called Bibliothèque by a brand called Byredo, which is a little bit fancy and it is absolutely dreamy. I made a little note of how they describe it, and it's described as an atmosphere of a world suspended in time. Old books, the scent of their leather-bound pages arranged on dark wood shelves. Crikey. Also stumbled across Book by Commodity, and they describe that one as a crisp woody fragrance that tips its hat to the Hemingways and Fitzgeralds of the world, conjuring the warmth of a quiet moment curled up with a good book. And I just think a book-related fragrance feels quite thoughtful and like a little bit romantic to me. I don't know, I just really like the idea of it. A book vase. Has there ever been a concept as adorable as a vase designed to look like a book? The answer is no. I have a little mini book vase just here, which currently has some baby's breath in it. and it is so pretty, and it just makes a little happy burst in my heart every time I see it on the bookshelf. They were kind of the first style of book vase that I ever saw. They're by an artist called Jane Mount, who also does some kind of book related prints, I think. But these are actually really hard to get hold of now. They were super duper popular. Luckily she started a bit of a trend and there's lots of other styles of them out there now. I personally have a very soft spot for the kind of like painted, designed, cozy, cutesy, picturesque ones. I found this one which says The Little Book of Flowers on it. I also found a little Alice in Wonderland one which really caught my eye. By the way, I didn't say earlier, but everything I mention I will make sure to link in the description box down below. So you can gift a book vase for a bookshelf filled with fresh flowers. Have you ever heard of anything more perfect? I ask you. Okay, some kind of book-related clothing is always going to go down well. It tends to be classics that you can really easily find merchandise for, or if they happen to love a particular book series that's along the lines of like YA fantasy, like the really popular YA fantasy titles, they are probably the easiest ones to find merchandise for, and all you have to do is head on over to Etsy. My thing with book and film merchandise is always like, I want it to look like something that one of the characters in the story would wear, so it'll be merchandise for like a location in the story. I always think that's like the really cool way of doing it. But there's a couple that I found myself on my little hunt which I really wanted to give a little shout out to because I just thought they were great. There was a bookworm sweatshirt from a little small shop called Wordy and Wild, which I thought was so sweet. It's genuinely cute enough to wear day to day, especially if you have like a bookish job, if you worked in a bookshop, if you're a librarian or something, or if you're a teacher, that'd be perfect. And I also stumbled across this brand which I've never heard of before called Moonkissed Collective. I think it's actually possibly an American brand, but the website switches it up to like UK shipping, and they have some truly excellent bookish t-shirts. They're just very kind of like minimal selective quotes, and I will say they're a bit pricier, and I haven't looked into the shipping for them to be honest, but when I find something like this I would always much rather buy from the original small shop than when the t-shirt does quite well and then inevitably gets nicked and put on Redbubble. So I had to mention the one that says written by Sally Rooney, obviously, but the one that I am absolutely obsessed with, I am obsessed with this t-shirt, and it says, "It's no use, Joe. Any Little Women fan will simply lose their mind over this t-shirt. I'm telling you right now," including myself. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I have to have that t-shirt. Number 4 is perhaps my best stocking stuffer suggestion, if they don't already have one of these. This little thing might not look much, but a book light. Oh my stars. If you are a late night reader, if you are a bedtime reader, if you are someone who reads at any point past like 3 p.m. at this time of the year, having one of these little lights to clip onto your book while you're reading will simply change your life. I will genuinely argue that this little thing is one of those small, tiny little items that you can buy for yourself to just improve your quality of life by at least like 900%. And I particularly like this one because you can plug it in to recharge it rather than having to change the batteries. It's got 3 different levels of brightness or dullness, so you can make it brighter if you need to. And you can also switch it between a cool shade of light and a warm shade of light, which I think is just a really nice little feature. I actually have 2 so that I can keep one on my bedside table and one in the coffee table in the living room to cover all reading arrangements. So hear me out, but I think if you looked into the research, there must be an actual scientific overlap in a graph between the selection of people who like to read books in their spare time and the selection of people who like to do puzzles in their spare time. I feel like if you really looked into it, those 2 activities must really scratch the same part of a human brain. They're both like some kind of therapy for the right kind of person. So I feel like a puzzle is a good way to go, and bonus points if it's a literary puzzle. Never has there been a cooler phrase said in the world than literary puzzle. I spotted some of these in Waterstones when I was having a little browse the other day. I think they're all by the same artist, but there was a Charles Dickens version, an Agatha Christie version, there was a Bronte sisters version, but the one that particularly caught my eye was the Jane Austen version, and it's basically like an illustration of all the locations in those authors' books, as well as a selection of the characters. So obviously once you put the puzzle together, you can then go through and try and identify the locations and spot the characters. And I just thought that was a fun little bonus for any book nerds, as well as the kind of high thrills, high stakes puzzle building experience. This one, I'm speaking from personal experience about how great a gift this is, because I got this for Christmas last year. Oh, sorry, the cat's wandering around. Sorry if you can hear her in the background. So my next idea is a book nook kit, which is basically a little DIY crafty construction kit that lets you build this, it's like tiny, but the most immaculate little snapshot of a world that slots into a little box. And then once you finished it, you put it between the books on your bookshelf, and it's like a little world sitting in between all the stories. They are so sweet and so special, and I love gifting people like something that they can actually do. I will say, because all the little bits and pieces are so tiny, it's like a little bit of an exercise in patience. But I loved just like dedicating a couple of hours to it every Sunday for a month or so, and now it sits on my bookshelf. And I even managed to do, some of them come with like little light up bits, so you have to do like a little bit of wiring to get like little street lamps to light up and stuff, and it's so satisfying when it actually comes together. But you can get some great like wizardy, witchy ones. You can get like inside bookshops for the perfect cozy little book nook. I also spotted a really nice kind of like pastel coloured cottagecore kind of one, which really spoke to me, and they are all just precious. I am a huge fan of the book nook kit. It's a great gift. No, this is not a deadly weapon, and it's also not a potato ricer, although I also think a potato ricer is a great gift. This is actually a personalised book embosser. We're there. That's the point we're at right now. Or similarly, you can also get personalised book stamps for the full librarian experience with like the ink pad and stamp. And this will basically allow anyone to take their own at-home library to a whole next level of nerdery in the best, most satisfying kind of way. There's like a whole array of different logos and little pictures and designs that you can choose from to suit the kind of books that you like to read, and then you can add the name of whoever you're gifting it to, and they'll have a little stamp that says "From the Library of Lucy Wood." It's really fun to use. It's really satisfying to stamp all your like front cover pages with, and it means you have to be way less passive aggressive about trying to get your books back when you lend them out to friends, because you have literally branded your possessions like some kind of book pirate. So I stumbled across this brand ages ago, and I haven't quite bitten the bullet to actually go for it and purchase one of these for myself, because I don't actually know how much use I would get out of it. I feel like maybe this is one of those things that would just sit beautifully on my shelf and I'd be too scared to actually use it. But I will admit that I have been swooning over these bags for a pretty long time now, and it's almost inevitable. The brand is Well Read Co, and they make the most exquisite, beautiful little crossbody bags, and also little matching coin purses which look like books and feature the most like beautiful arty covers. Some of them are like gold foiled. I think the Little Women one is probably my favourite if I was gonna actually go for it. But there's also a very beautiful Beauty and the Beast one as well, which also really caught my eye, which is in like a ruby red. And who doesn't want to make themselves feel even more like Belle at every opportunity possible? So this is an interesting one because I'm not actually a Kindle girly yet. I feel like the yet just needs to be stuck on the end of that. I feel like it's inevitably in my destiny. Fate is gonna pull me that way. Currently, I still just feel like I have to be a papers betwixt my fingers kind of reading experience person. But anyone who is a Kindle reader, this has got to be the dream setup, right? I mean, this in itself is actually single-handedly enough for me to be the most tempted I've ever been. Because we all know that the worst part about reading in bed is that you have to have your arms outside of the duvet, you have to stretch up to hold the book. It gets really uncomfortable, sometimes you drop it on your face. If you are a Kindle reader, you can buy these crazy like rubbery extendo arms that are like a stand for your Kindle. They then kind of clip on nicely to your bedside table or the edge of your bed or whatever, and it holds the Kindle like right in front of your face, wherever you want it, like this, so that you can be all snuggled under. And they then also come with a tiny little remote that you can click from cozily under the covers to change the page. Whoever invented that, Nobel Prize. It's so clever. It maximizes coziness by any means possible, which is something I take very seriously. So for the book lover who is very into their kind of home interiors setup, the Venn diagram for gifting meets perfectly at the humble bookend preferably 2 of them. But I would recommend having a little look on Etsy to start with, because there are some amazing vintage ones over there, which are obviously going to be extra unique and extra special. But for something a little bit more immediate and a little bit more available, Oliver Bonus is a really great place to start. They always have stunning bookends. There were some like Staffordshire dog ones that I really wanted, and I'm really gutted that I missed those. I was playing the long game of waiting for them to go into sale, and they never did, and they sold out, and that'll teach me a lesson. I also found these amazing personalised celestial ones from Not on the High Street, which I thought were gorgeous. And also a little shout out for these like split plant pot ones as well. So you would not only be gifting bookends, but there would also be like real plants inside for them to grow on their bookshelf. Bookmarks are an obvious solid stocking stuffer to go for. I think many of us will agree that you can simply never have too many bookmarks, especially if you're like me and seem to just lose them after about 3 uses. So first up, I want to mention one that Adam actually bought for me. If it wasn't last year, then it must have been the year before. As soon as I opened this, I loved it. It instantly felt really special to me, and I still absolutely love this one. It's got a real kind of handmade, high quality feel to it. It just feels nice in your hands. It's this little leather corner bookmark, which is then embossed with a bit of personalization, so like initials or a name or whatever, and then that's gold foiled as well. And I don't know, there's something about it that just feels really kind of like lifelong. The more you use them and the more they become a little bit dog-eared and soft, they become even more kind of special. That feels like a long-term, special, thoughtful little present, which is really nice. And then I also found these wooden ones on Etsy, which I thought were great. So they have like reading trackers or habit trackers on them, which you can then like fill in as you go. And as well as the tracker, they also had like a bookshelf version, so you write the title on the bookmark of each book you finish. So super cute, very clever. I really like those ones. And then as I'm an embroidery fan myself, I love sitting and sewing, so I feel like embroidered ones are always really beautiful and pretty and delicate as well. So I'm sure if you're not new around here, you will already know this about me, but I am a pin collector. I have collected pins for years and years, so a book related pin is always a solid choice. And some of my favourites in my own collection came from a little small shop which is called Quote and Quill, and I have a fair few of their book pins now actually. I might actually be getting on for the whole collection at this point, I think, but there's a great one which says Obstinate Headstrong Girl, which is a Pride and Prejudice reference. I also picked up one of their pins at Louisa May Alcott's house in Boston, so I've got the Little Women book. I did have one that says Professional Bookworm, but that actually fell off my bag, so I need to get another one of those. And I think this stack of classics by women might just be my favourite. I think that's a really lovely pin. I love their illustrations. They've also got some great sticker sheets, which are excellent gifts for covering Kindles and laptops and all that kind of stuff. I would say basically anything off their website is a really good place to start. And last but certainly not least, in fact, maybe the top choice for knowing that you're going to be onto a winner, if you want to make 100% sure that you absolutely cannot go wrong when it comes to giving a gift to a book lover, and that they will just be chuffed with your present, it's got to be a national book token. In fact, choosing a book for anybody, even if they're not a reader, it's a pretty tricky task. It can be such a personal thing, but the national book tokens are particularly great, even more so than like specific bookshop tokens, because they can spend them anywhere. Basically saying to them like, go and take a nice 20 minutes and go and wander around the bookshop and I'll treat you. Say no more. Alternatively, along the same lines though, a couple of little bonus suggestions. I would suggest maybe giving them a timed spree. You might have seen this like all over TikTok. It was really popular for a little while, where it would be like boyfriends saying to their girlfriends, okay, you've got 5 minutes to run around the shop, pick up any title that you fall in love with, and whatever's in your basket after 5 minutes, I will treat you to. That's a really fun little thing to do together. If you do know your stuff, if you are as much of a book fan as they are maybe, I really love the idea of a year in books. So you're gifting them 12 titles, each wrapped up, one for each month of the year, and that's a really kind of cute, very, very thoughtful gift that then lasts way longer than just for Christmas. I'd also say if you do want to go for a book, then it's a really smart idea to go for like a beautiful special edition. You're really going to be onto a winner with that one. So if they happen to be a particular fan of a classic or even like a modern classic, like I know you can get lovely, really kind of beautiful cloth-bound versions of things like Song of Achilles. I've got that beautiful version up there somewhere, and there's like a lovely version of like The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, like really popular but more modern titles than that. A special edition, beautiful gift. Or, this is the last idea, I promise you. I feel like I've really talked your ear off today. You could make them like a cozy, like a little cozy kit, like a little book box almost. So like a little book hamper. So maybe you could choose like one book for them, which you think would be like, maybe choose something that's a bit less well known, cozy socks, a nice tea, a new mug, maybe a candle, a little snack. Ooh, this sounds great. Everything that would basically add together to make the perfect setup for a little Sunday afternoon reading session. I mean, I would love that so much. I would probably cry actually if someone did that for me. I'm not sure if we're still pretending that we're going to be buying any of these things for anyone other than ourselves. But I really hope you enjoyed this little last minute gift guide for bookworms and book lovers. I hope there was maybe something on there for your little book loving heart to add onto your own Christmas wish list, or maybe genuinely you are a really nice person and you haven't done your Christmas shopping yet, and I hope this has given you some good ideas. I had a really good time putting this together. I'm sorry it wasn't a little bit earlier in the month. I am just about managing to now have my head above water, juggling everything that this year has required. But we're nearly there, and I'm so excited to tell you some things in the new year. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope you are really well, and I hope you have the most amazing Christmas. Stay cozy, and I will see you very soon with another video.